When you're standing behind a carnival stall or a busy fairground booth, the last thing you want is a piece of equipment that looks impressive on the box, but turns into a daily headache. I've spent the past few weeks watching how concession operators set up their stations, reading a handful of forum threads where people compare commercial-grade candy makers, and I've tried to piece together what really matters when you're deciding whether to invest in a cotton candy machine that promises professional quality. If you're on the fence about spending a few $100s on a machine that could become the centerpiece of your menu or just another piece of clutter, this review should help you weigh the real value, the everyday use, and the kind of buyer who actually benefits from the Paragon Spin Magic 5. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's start with the basic dilemma. You could go for a cheap countertop model that churns out a handful of fluffy clouds before it sputters, or you could step up to something built for the grind of a weekend market, a school fundraiser, or a permanent concession stand. The Paragon Spin Magic 5 sits squarely in that second camp. It's marketed as a commercial-grade machine, and the construction tells a story that's hard to ignore: an all-metal cabinet of aluminum and stainless steel, a heavy-duty motor that's meant to run for hours, and professional-style controls that let you dial in spin speed and heating temperature. First off, let's talk about setup. You pull the unit out of the box, and because the cabinet is metal, it's heavier than the plastic units you might have seen on YouTube. That weight is a trade-off. You'll need a sturdy table or a dedicated countertop that can support roughly 8,090 pounds. But the upside is that the machine feels anchored, which reduces vibration when the head spins at full speed. The motor is housed in a sealed compartment, so you don't have to worry about stray crumbs getting into the gears, something I saw a lot of complaints about with cheaper models that end up needing a full motor clean-out after a few weeks. The real test of any cotton candy maker is how it handles the day-to-day workflow. In practice, the Spin Magic 5 can melt a standard 2-pound bag of sugar in about 5 minutes, which is respectable for a commercial unit. What matters more is consistency. Because the heating element is paired with a high-performance head, the sugar reaches the ideal caramelization point without scorching, and the spinner maintains a steady velocity. The result is that each batch comes out with a uniform texture, soft enough to melt in your mouth, but sturdy enough to hold its shape on a stick. I observed a small fair where the operator was pulling a new stick every 20 seconds during a peak hour and never had to pause for a let-it-cool moment. That kind of rhythm is what keeps lines moving and cash registers ringing. Now, who should actually consider buying this? If you run a permanent concession stand, a seasonal food truck, or you regularly host events that draw a crowd, think school carnivals, community festivals, or even a wedding reception, this machine fits the bill. The metal construction means it can survive the occasional bump when you're moving it between venues, and the heavy-duty motor can handle the back-to-back runs that a high-traffic day demands. It's also a good match for anyone who wants to experiment with flavors beyond classic pink sugar. The professional controls let you adjust temperature a few degrees up or down, which opens the door to chocolate-infused mixes or fruit-flavored syrups without having to overhaul the whole setup. On the flip side, if you're a home hobbyist who only plans to make cotton candy once a month for birthday parties, the Spin Magic 5 is likely overkill. The initial outlay, the need for a solid countertop, and the fact that you'll be running the motor for long stretches just to get a few servings don't line up with occasional use. In those cases, a smaller countertop model that plugs into a standard kitchen outlet and weighs half as much would probably serve you better, even if you have to tolerate a little more cleanup. Speaking of cleanup, that's an area where the Paragon shows both strength and a hidden cost. The metal bowl and spinner head are detachable, which makes it easier to scrape out hardened sugar after the day is over. However, because the bowl is stainless steel, you have to be mindful of using the right kind of cleaning agents. Abrasive pads can scratch the surface, and harsh chemicals can leave residues that affect flavor. A simple warm water rinse followed by a soft cloth does the job, but you'll need to allocate a few extra minutes after each shift to keep the interior pristine. If you're looking for a set-it-and-forget-it machine, that maintenance step is something to keep in mind. Another practical consideration is power consumption. The heavy-duty motor draws more wattage than a hobbyist unit, so you'll need a reliable power source. In my observation, most permanent,